Hello, my lovely spectators. Dee Dee here. Welcome to my studio. So, today on this episode, I'm gonna work with this little book here. This guy is what, about 4.5 by 5.5. Now, I forgot who it was, but somebody made an actual little tiny journal out of this, and that was really super cute. And of course, this is all about fairies. I already started to take apart the book. It's not an expensive book by any means necessary. Looking at this price and looking and thinking about what I paid for it, I don't even remember. So that's why it behooves us to become informed consumers. This one was first published in 1925, and then this edition is from 1990. So technically, sorry, my fan is trying to dry some coffee dyed papers that I made, so I think I'm gonna have to turn it off because it's getting to me. Anyway, so I was looking at this book because I'm working on Edith Holden journal, and I'm deconstructing it, and I have other videos out about that. But I kind of feel at a loss in the way that I don't want to use, like, I don't want to just make another Edith Holden book, right? So I have taken a few pages out of it, etc., and I have incorporated pieces and made ephemera and made not well, some ephemera and pockets and stuff like that. And I've incorporated this Crafter's Companion paper pad because of the florals and stuff. So I think I'm going to use this to make a few more pieces that will go into the journal. Now, what I will say is that I'm not sure how many I'm going to need. Today is supposed to be Roxy's weekly challenge, and she's again making large journal cards, which are the third time she's making a journal cards, but this one are using glue pages, which I don't really have. I don't do that glue page thing. I just don't know why. I don't really have it, and if I do something like that, it's usually in a magazine. So yeah, I'm gonna make something, not a journal card per se. I wanted to make it a little something a little more than that, but we're gonna see. So I'm looking for something other than what I used already, which I did use 2 pieces from here for signatures in the book. So I think I'm gonna take, I didn't use this one, so I'm gonna take a piece of this one. I found this real cute, interesting, whatever. Because the backs of them, excuse me, the backs of them are different, right? But they're also like a subdued. I'm gonna take 3. I don't know if I'm gonna need all 3. Excuse me. But I want to use up the book. I want to do it in sort of mass make style. I feel like that might be the one that I have. Did I grab this? Yeah, this is kind of bright. So with the Edith Holden book, you know, there are illustrations and such that are going on. And so I want to keep some of that, use some of that as part of ephemera, use a lot of the text. I want to be able to get more than one journal out of it. So that's why I want to incorporate other sources that would be relative to it. So I feel like fairies and stuff like that kind of fit into the idea of the whimsical forest and the countryside. So what I was noticing when I was deconstructing the book, well, no, when I got the book, what I noticed was that you have your index of all of the fairies that are all the fairies that are featured in here. So I was like, okay, cool. So you have your fairy, and then you have a little story about them, and then on the other side you have a story about the next fairy. Okay, fine. But then behind this fairy is another fairy. So you're gonna lose one. So that's where decision making is gonna be coming into play. So, and the thing is, I could completely separate all the pages because the Foxglove Fairy, this is their song. So I don't have to worry about finding, you know, the connecting story per se. So I just need to figure out, like, so for example, these two go together, right? Perfectly. This is black and white, and I think that's a song for that, but I wouldn't use this black and white one. So this is not so bad, but then he doesn't have his story, right? But she has her story, and that's this one, right? So if you use these together, and what I'm thinking to do, right? Then the Poppy doesn't have her story. If you see what I'm saying. So it really depends upon the story, if you're going to read it, and which one you want to use, right? So what I was trying to do is trying to make the most of all the imagery, right? So considering that these are back to back, if I plop this onto a piece of paper, I'm only going to see one side. So I kind of want to create something that has like a window, so that I could adhere this. And I did it in something else over there. So I can adhere this where I can see the fairies on both sides. But one side would also include the fairy story. Now that could be quite long. So for example, if I were to do these two together, right, the fairy and her story, then we're looking at something that is about 10 inches long. That may be a little bit excessive. So we're gonna try, we're gonna see, I'm gonna try, right? We're gonna just go off the cuff. And so I need to cut the paper. Now I don't really even know how many fairies there are that I would be using, so let's just see if we can kind of count a rough estimate. So if we use this one, then 2, right, then 3 for this one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 11 fairies, right? Is that what it is? Not 11. We should have 20 fairies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 20. Yes, I did my math right. So I need 20 pieces. So I probably, these are 4. I don't need all of them for my journal, but I'm going to make more to have for other journals. If I'm deconstructing, I might as well do that. So what I was thinking is, okay, this page, this across is about 3 inches. I just had my ruler. Oh, here it goes. So this across is about 3 inches, right? So I was thinking 4 inches is a good amount to have, where I could make a window within it so that this could be seen. Now there's going to be some precision. It might not be 100% exact, but I'm going to try, right? And we're going to use math, and we're going to use a ruler, and we're going to use all that good stuff. So, and then it is about 5 inches. So let's say 6 inches, right? Tall. But if I want to include the story of the fairy, then I'm going to need a little bit more. So I don't know how long all of the fairy stories are that I'm going to use. So that's the only thing. Like I have to, like, so this one would be about 4 inches. This one would mean that I really couldn't use this one over here because it wouldn't fit. Because what I was thinking was the fairy is up to here. If I take the rest of it, right, and I'm able to fold this up and make a pocket, but then that pocket's kind of deep in there in that respect. So decisions. All right, let's start with the strips because they need to be 4 inches. Okay, we'll do that first, and we'll just work it out from there. Maybe what I want to do is not going to be possible. Maybe I'm just only going to be able to get the double-sided fairies, but I really would love to be able to get the story of one of them. in all honesty. So they're all together. I'm going to try to be sneaky and trim them all at 4. Oh, I hate this. Got to take this stupid scoring crap out. There's 4. And then another 4. Okay. So we've got all of our strips. How many strips is that going to be? So we've got 1, 3. We needed 11, so we're going to have enough. Perfect. All right. So now we want to do, so what I want to do is I want to have that fairy be up here, right? Up on the top. And then I want their story to be included. But I want to be able to have the surprise of having the other fairy visible over here. So that's the only thing. That's kind of, I could also, maybe I just fold it in half, and then the fairy that doesn't have a story is here, and then when you open this down, the fairy has their story here, right? Okay, yeah, that could be the thing. That could be the thing, and I would do it this way so that the colorful side is the visual, beautiful, whatever. All right, let's. I think we're gonna maybe do that. So let's not put this down just yet, okay? Do I want to cut the fairies out first? Let me get these separated. So the next part is going to be to separate these fairies out. So let's do that. Okay, there's no fairy here. There's one fairy there. So let's see how this cuts. Okay, not bad. We can clean that up as we need it. Okay, he is on here. So I'm going to save this because I want to try to do a journal for that. Let's open up these pages here. Fold it back. And then do this to it. Okay? And then the same thing here. So we got them all separated. And like I said, the names are right there, so I can connect the fairy back to the story. So that's not a problem. Okay, let's get this. And this is a song of somebody. Okay, and so I could still include this because it could be one of the other fairies. So all right, and then this will hold on to use it for anything else, and then the book cover will make a journal or something. Okay, so this is in the front, more or less. Okay, so let's open this guy up. Okay. Okay, so we have fairy, this is story, fairy, this is backed blank, so it goes back over there. Craftalanche, don't know what that was. I should probably go and look, but am I? No. What happens? Oh no. Anyway, don't be distracted. We're working here. Okay, so this is going to be here, right? And then this is also a fairy. Okay, so the stories we're not going to use right now because we're going to cut them out at some point, probably with a decorative die if I can find one that fits into my machine. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These will go together. 12. Okay, perfect. All right, hold on. I gotta go see what that was. Okay, so some stuff underneath the desk. All right, so what I was looking at is I'm gonna need to trim this a little bit because they are, see some of our components, exactly 4. So I'm going to take a 1/4 inch from both sides in order to fit it. And I don't really have to take anything from top to bottom. Now, one of the fairies is going to be glued on top. And then the hole in the back is going to show the other fairy, right? One side is not really conducive to writing because it's very bright. The other side is more conducive to writing. So they could all be different sizes, and then this would be shortened based upon the poem of the one that we're going to focus on. I think that's what I'm going to go with. So we're going to cut these down 1/4 of an inch on each side, and then we will go from there. So let me do that. I would say really quick, but you know how that is, right? The minute you say something, it doesn't ring true. Okay, let me just double check. Is that good enough? We'll compare it over here. Yes, perfect. So this is going to be able to be glued on the front with that little bit of border. And then on the other side, that's where the precision is going to hit us, because we need to get that square, the rectangle, perfect. So then we shall be mathing. So I'm going to speed this up so that way you're not taking the whole time to watch me trim. Okay, so those are trimmed. I don't know what you guys like better, if you like for it to just be like, I'll be back, or, you know, you sit through the cutting, the trimming, and the fast forward, or I try to mute it, so then it's like a little span of silence. So let's go back to the measuring. Again, where do I keep putting my ruler? I don't understand how I keep losing it. Oh, for real this time. All right, we'll take out a different one. We got plenty of rulers. All right, so let's see. That's baffling to me. This is about 3 inches, right? If just a little bit past. Okay, so we're looking for a 3-inch hole. And it should be 4.5 inches. No, sorry. It should be 4 3/4. Okay, so we're looking to create a, let's just grab a scrap. So we need a 3-inch hole by 4 3/4 this way. Okay, and what do they say in carpentry? Measure twice, cut once. Let's just double check that I'm doing that correctly. Yeah, 3 inches by 4 3/4. Perfect. Okay. So we know that these guys are 4 across. So I'm gonna need to cut a 1/2 inch on both sides, right? So I'm gonna make a mark at a 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch is here, 1/2 inch is here. Okay. I'm gonna go down a 1/2 inch from here. Okay. Right, and then I'm gonna go from this mark. I'm gonna go 4 3/4, 4 3/4, which is right there. Okay, so do I care that I'm gonna write on top of this? No, because we're gonna be putting this like that. So the 1/2 inch should be enough. So this is what I'm gonna double check, that I bring this down 1/2 inch. If that's going to be enough for the hole to be put there. Okay, I might need to bring it down slightly more. So let's bring it down 3/4. Okay, 3/4. Still good. And I don't worry about that mark because we're going to cover it with this 3/4. And then from here, I want to do 4 3/4, which makes it here. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna switch to pencil because I'm gonna go a little bit past when I'm drawing it, so the main dots doesn't matter. Okay, So I'm gonna line this up on my board with whatever I can. Okay. All right. So this is our mark here, right? Yes. Mark there. So I want that mark right there. And then down here is our other mark. So we're going to line it up using the grid lines as well on the board. On the board. Okay. Okay, that looks good. So now I need to go up and down. I need to be in a 1/2 inch. So we're going to put this at the 4. I'm going to go in 1/2 inch. Okay. And 1/2 inch over here. Hopefully that looks straight. It does, but I don't know. Sometimes you never know. Could be slightly off. Right, that's going to be, so let's double check because we didn't have a mark over here. Yeah. So, yeah, that one's good. This one is slightly off. So I need to fix that because I went a little inward. Okay, now do not think, oh my God, what the hell? She's gonna have to do this. No, I'm gonna use this one as a template once I cut out the first one. So I am gonna erase past the little pieces just in case, but I'm pretty sure they won't be seen. And now we'll take a blade, small blades. We'll take the blade. And we're going to cut down the line, okay? Cross our fingers, y'all. Okay, so you still want to be able to go up to that point where you see that you had done that. And then we're going to cut over here as well up to, in this case, the second line for me because I was a little bit off. Then I'm going to cut here. Okay. And then I'm going to cut over here. Now, I don't want to go too far off because I know that on this side I'm not going to see it, but on the other side I am. So we want to make sure that we are doing as much precision as we can. So then we also have this nice little piece that we can use for something else. So what should happen, and I'm going to use repositionable tape to just test my work for here, right, is that I should be able to see the fairy perfectly on this other side. Wait, excuse me. I want the fairy, this fairy to be here, right? And then on the other side to be able to see the fairy. So I do need to do it, but on this side, the light side. So I'm gonna make sure that the fairy is centered in that window. Okay, left to right, top to bottom. So a little bit to the left, but I just wanted to see, right? So there you go. I do need to fix him slightly so that she can also be slightly better. But again, this is just temporary tape. So this is the idea, right? So we're going to make a journaling card that's like this. But I do not want to lose necessarily the whole story. So I could bring this up, right? And then put the story of the fairy that is on this side, right? But then it would be upside down over here. So then when they to do this, it would be to read. That's the only question that I would have, right? So if I do that, it's not the same fairy, I know. Cut this out nicely. Put the fairy here, right? And then that way this will open up and then they have journaling space over here. So it will flip down, right? Or put this one up and have the story of the fairy that's in here on the outside, and then they could peek inside and see that fairy. Because that matters, because it's like, which fairy am I going to focus on the song of? Or should it even matter? I don't know. Anyway, so this is what we're going to do. So this looks good, right? The measurements worked out, I think so, right? There may be irregularities in the printing from front to back. They're meant to be centered. So I'm going to want to try to center this guy as much as possible when I'm putting it down. And then on the other side, yeah, we're a little bit off, and it looks like it's printed well. Okay, so this is good. So I'm going to take the glue for right now off, right? Because I'm going to put our glitter glue or something more intense to hold it. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our other ones, right? Stack them up, and no, we're not cutting them like that. We're just going to put the box that we need to score, that we need to cut. So this is a little bit longer of a mass bake because you have this cutting that has to happen, right? And it has to be more precise, right? So I went out a little bit because I'm rushing. And we want to erase it because we're also going to be able to keep that piece for something else, right? We can make a tag out of that. So we're going to be able to erase whatever else we need from there. So I'm going to show again. I'm just going to put it on top of here. I'm going to make sure that they are top to bottom perfect, right? And then just going to go across, go down, across, and then go down. So I'm going to cut these out and I'll be back. Okay, so we are all trimmed out. So we have now 12 little cards that we can use for something else. I will clean up the pencil marks on those at a later date. And we have all of these guys ready to go. Then I'm not going to clean up the pencil marks on because the fairy is going to cover it. So scraps, right? I feel like this comes from my card making days because you know, you buy paper that is pretty, it is special, it costs more, and you want to put something on top, and you want to put a mat, and you want to put this, and you want to put that, and you're just layering on layering on layering, and you're losing the value. You know, you're using up the, we're being cheap now. Like if I had to put something on top of here, I lost all of this good real estate basically. So now I have the good real estate and I can use it for something else. And now we have our fairies that we can attach on here, which is what we're going to do next. Now the decision is to be like, which fairy do we want to be representing? Now the other thing is that I think I do want to have this come up here. So let me see if this easily folds at 6. Okay, where I don't have to go to the scoreboard. See how close that is. Okay, it is pretty close. So let's see how this looks over here. Okay, if we put that bad boy there, okay, there. So we're really literally putting this all the way down. So we may want to cut a little bit off of these guys just to save us the headache of seeing the bottom. So I think I'm going to do that. We're going to have to do that now. So I'm going to, you know what, this is something we learned and we discovered. So I'm going to come back. So we're going to fold them all like this. Then we'll pick the fairy that we need. So we're folding them. That's one of the next phase of the mass make is to fold all these guys up. And then I need to tweak this because it's touching too close to the edge. So we're going to tweak that first. Ow! And then we're going to cut another a quarter of an inch off of these guys because, you know, we want to have a nice visual around on the front, right? The front being the more bright, colorful side. And so we're just going to cut off a quarter of an inch. Doesn't affect the other side fairy because things are in the same position, which is a perfect thing that's happening with these books. So this is something where if you thought about getting these books but then didn't know what they look like, now you know. And now you can actually get benefit of both sides of fairies if you do the window trick. Right? And so yeah. All right, so we're almost through. Right, I'm just making sure. To cut them off. Okay. And now, what I think I might do is I also think I might just score the papers because the folding, I thought I had cracked something. So let's also do that. So where's my scoring bit? Okay, that wasn't too bad, right? I am not keeping these little trimmings. I maybe might have in the past. I just got rid of a lot of trimmings by doing some weaving, but I think I'm gonna hold off on saving some more because I just and they're too thin, I think, to kind of what's it called? Stamp on. I can't think of the words. All right, I'm gonna put 6. The paper's on the thinnest, thinner side, and so I'm doing 2 at a time because I want to make sure that I can press enough to get a nice, what is it called? Score mark, but then not pass through the paper because sometimes with a nice paper, thin or thick, it doesn't really, sometimes it doesn't matter. You never can tell. So I'm just doing that so that I could have nice crease, and then I'll, you know, make sure that it lines up and I'll train it well. So I'm just doing 2 at a time. Okay. At a time. Okay. And then this one's a solo because I had done one by hand. So let's do this one a little more gently because I'm afraid of cracking it. Okay, so with that said, we're just gonna fold them over, right? If they don't quite meet, we're gonna need to retrain. So let me get this out of my way. I don't think so. This is the holes would have been much easier if you had a die that cut rectangles. Unfortunately, I don't have that. I mean, I have it, I don't have access to it right now, so that's an issue for me. But that would have been a super easier way to do this. So I've got a primary crease, but it's not exactly where these 2 top pieces match up. So I'm going to try to retrain the paper. So yeah, this is my finger first because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt the paper. I could just leave it and then trim up here, but that's also annoying. So let's see. Okay. All right. I don't know. Because you know what? We're not going to actually be securing it, right? We're not going to like have anything to secure it because it's going to be in there so that you can open it for journaling and stuff. So that's a thing. Okay. Let's see. Maybe that one was just off. No. So, you know, you buy paper, it says it's 12 by 12, and then you try to do this, and then it's like, no, I'm not 12 by 12. Because I put it on the 6 mark of this trimmer. Yeah, this is not happening the way that I want it to. Maybe if I did it this way. Because I'm afraid of that hole. Okay, I'm going to try one more time with you guys, and then I'm going to go off and fix these bad boys up because I'm not happy about that. That's better. Okay, let's see here. Alright, that one's not too bad. Okay. Yeah, so let's fold all these up. Let's see. It's a little... And and then we're going to glue in the other ones, and then we're going to decide which one's going to go where, basically, which is going to be the one that we're going to look at. So do we look at the fairy? Do we look at the paper? Do we look at the combo? Those are all things that some of you guys who might want to try to do this would be worried about. I probably won't fret too much because I kind of like slap things together and just hope for the best, so to say. And usually things work out, you know. I think it's not having confidence, but just being like, or not being overconfident, like I'm gonna do it perfect, but having confidence that, you know, it'll work out. It'll work out, you know. We picked these things for a reason, so they're probably gonna work together, basically. Okay. All right. This one looks good. Yeah, I think we're good with that one. This one. Okay. Yeah, that one looks good. Okay, that's good. Could just do it with my nail. I know the nail, the tool, our favorite tool that we mess up. That's why I haven't done my nails in a minute. Okay, 2 more to go. Yes, 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 yes. All right, I don't know what happened to those last few. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to the 6-inch mark as much as I thought I was. Okay. Right. So, we don't need my mail anymore in the screen. So, now we have our different fairies placements, right? And we're just going to put a fairy to a paper, right? So let's just do that. So you look and say, who do I want to see first? I'm not going to worry about the story. So I want to see that one first. I want to see this one first. I don't know. I like the little chubby one first. The forget-me-not fairy. The scarlet. There might be one where there was some red flowers she could be part of. I think it was on this one, so that's the scarlet. This is, I think this goes better with that paper. She's very romantic looking. Oh wait, I did, yes. Oh, well, there's nothing on that side. All right, we'll have to figure that one out. Put her there. Let's see here. I like that one. I want to see that one. And then what happened to my other fairies? I lost some fairies. What happened? Is this fairy right here, right? And then we had this black and white. So we have this extra piece here. We could put the black and white fairy here, but then I have nothing for the back, right? But that reminds me that over here was one that didn't have a good back either, which was this one. So I think these two are going to double up and they're going to team up on one of these guys. So I have cutbacks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10. Okay. So this is how I want to position them. So the next part is going to be to glue them in. So let's do that. So I want to glue this one in here like this. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to do that, right? So we want to glue that like that. Problem is that I can't see straight on because of the camera and blocking my head. So that is our issue. We're gonna try for the best. Okay, so I'm gonna put glue up here. So I'm gonna go putting the glue up there high, outside, far side, far outside, and then really low down here. Since we cut that off. Then we're going to bring this down and try to get it as close to perfect as possible and not press too soon, because it is art glitter glue, or use something else. That's another possibility, right? Maybe I should have done that. Okay. Let's see. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty. So she looks a little tilted, but not by a lot. I'm not going to mess with her too much. We can always put something on here to decorate and kind of fix that area. Okay, so we have that, and on the inside you have this. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit. Can I move it? Can I? Taking a chance here. Oh, my goodness, my goodness. Okay. Let's see here. That looks a lot better. That looks somewhat better. I don't know. Let's see how this glue is going to hold since I moved it around. Let's try another one. Let's try another one. Okay. So I think with this one, I'm going to try is like to do it piece by piece. Meaning I'm going to glue up here first. Okay. Bring this there. Okay. Get this up here where I want it. Centered. Right? Centered. And then squish it down. Okay. Right. It's a little bit still. Okay, and then I could come in here and add adhesive along this side, along the bottom, and along this side. Okay, perfect. She doesn't look half bad. Oh, she's the one that had the glue on her from before, which didn't come off completely, but it's coming off now. It is removable. I don't know why it's acting that way. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, a little wet. A little baby wet, no problem. Okay. All right, so I'm going to finish them up and bring them back to you in a moment. Okay, so they are all glued in. Okay, it was not a hard process, but it's not something easily that you could record. So I had to double up on this one with the one that was the Rose Fairy. So for some reason this picture didn't match all that great, but there's that one. Then there's the, I'm not trying to say these names, fairy. And then this one inside, it looks pretty good. So I think this is the first one, and we have a little bit of like adhesion we have to take care of because we took it apart completely. I think the other ones, once I got my rhythm down, have a little bit better adhesion. So I'll go through them one more time before doing anything with them. Then we have this one, and on the inside we have that guy there. And so there is this little variation. So again, I'm going by what the textbook. This looks good here. It's off here. They're printed behind each other, so it's kind of like, so if that bothers a ton, I guess you could cut that, cut a little bit. It doesn't bother me that much. These are handmade, right? There's attention to detail in here. There's, you know, a certain level of quality to the work. And just, you know, some of them just happened to line up perfectly and some of them didn't. And it's just like really, really weird. So yeah, and I need to double check because, like I said, I was adhering them from this side and I might have missed a little couple of spots of glue, right? So we have that and we have this, okay? And then we've got this one and we've got this one. So now the decision remains that do we put the stories, because we're losing half the book if we do that, right? Because basically, you know, 20 fairies, we lost half, right? We didn't lose half. We only got half of the amount, you know, fairies because we're using 2 fairies in one make, right? And here's the other fairy. Sorry, there goes that guy. There's this one, which you saw earlier. And then this cutie over here with this behind. So we could round the corners, right? But that may bring attention to the irregularity of some of them. These are not rounded, so probably would not make sense to do that. So the next thing is we could ink it. That would be fine as well. And so the idea is now, what do we do with the stories, right? So the story of, let's see, I know she's in the front, the Buttercup Fairy. Where is she? Right. I just took them because they were cutesy. So here's her story, right? Now, do I put the story here, right? So the story is here, and the person's like, oh, I get to read about her. And then inside, they see another fairy, but there's no information, and there won't be any. And then they have a space to write some journaling, okay? So I think that's kind of like where I want to go with this and stuff. So I can put it, I could, you know, cut it out with something. I should see, you know, which ones, so how big the stories are. So like the Buttercup Fairy, the Forget-Me-Not Fairy, hers is, it's not that long. The Foxglove, no. Wild Rose, or do I have the Foxglove? No? Okay, I don't know what's up with that. A Wild Rose is on the inside. White Clover, that's her. All right. The Birdfoot, no, that's the Birdfoot Trifle. That's this one. The Harabelle, so there's some of them are like kind of big. The Yarrow Fairy, I know that was there, so that's kind of big. The Song of the Ragwort is not there. The Rose Fairy is not there. The Song of the Scarlet Pimpernel, the Scabaceous, I don't know. Greater Need, whatever that says. And then where's these guys? Rose Fairy, Poppy Fairy. I'm missing these pieces. What's going on? What's happening? Oh, don't know what happened. I couldn't have misplaced them. They have to be somewhere. Let me check the book. Did I mistakenly leave them in here? There's nothing there. Okay. No. How am I missing fairy stories? How did that happen? That couldn't have happened. Okay, that's so bizarre. Okay, because let's see. The Traveler. Oh, how did that happen? The Poppy Fairy and the Forget-Me-Not Fairy are on the same page. Whoopsie. That's what happened. I wasn't paying attention to that. So learn from my mistake, right? So whose story do I want? I don't know. And this one, the Traveler's Fairy, is on the back of somebody else's. Not sure who. On the back of this guy, a Knotweed Fairy. So that's where I messed up. So I could do what I shouldn't be doing, which is to take a scan of this and then put it there, because technically you shouldn't be doing that. But I feel like I messed up and I do not want to destroy this guy. And so don't tell anybody. We're gonna do that. We're gonna have to scan that so we can have it for the backs. So we're not gonna be able to finish doing that, but I'm gonna be putting that on the back. I kind of feel like I want to do something with the corners. Maybe not round, but I have this tag punch that I really am constantly using. It has a few different shapes to it. It's got this little shape here that I like, that I use quite a bit, so that it feels a little more special, right? Okay, so I have that one. It also has this one here that's also a nice little one that we can put on to some of them. And so it doesn't take away from the square of that one. I don't know, would the circle one take away from it? But yeah, so I'm gonna just put this punch. So yeah, so you know, the mass make of this, I think it's a possibility. The mass make doesn't have to be fast. Mass means that you can do all the steps in one and get it done, and I think that that is totally doable. The idea of the window, to be able to use the front and back of certain pieces of ephemera or imagery from books, is, you know, a nice little idea. It's out there now for you guys. And yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna call this done for now. If you're new and you enjoyed today, please consider subscribing. If you have been with me for a minute, thank you so much for always coming back to spend some time. And of course, both of you, please like and comment. I love to hear what you have to say, what you think of the project, what you might have done, you know, differently. Constructive criticism is okay. And yeah, next time we'll be doing something different. So make sure that you check me out again. Until then, until next time, being so redundant. Anyway, until then, ciao, ciao, bye.